Ted Williams joining us right now, a Fox contributor, former D.C. homicide detective. All right, Ted, we know that she was strangled. What does that tell you?
Well, there's a lot that we know, Neil, here, and there's a lot that we don't know. But I think we need to just step back for a second and try to go through the timeline here. We know that Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were last seen at a restaurant on August the 27th in Wyoming. On September 1, Brian, returns home to Florida from the Wyoming area without Gabby. Gabby and Brian lived in the home with Laundrie's mother and father. We know that on September the 6th, through the 8th, in DeSoto Park there in Florida, Brian Laundrie and his family, without Gabby, went hiking and camping. We know that on September the 11th, Gabby was reported missing by her family, the Petito family. We know that on September the 13th, Brian, goes missing himself, last seen allegedly in a Carlton Reserve. They started and they searched that Carlton Reserve. We know that on September the 19th, Gabby's body was found in the Grand Teton Park there in Wyoming. And we know that on September the 23rd, Brian was charged with the use of her credit card. Those are some of the facts that are faced. Now that we have found that the cause of death is strangulation, I think they're beginning to close in, meaning the FBI, on a suspect. As you know, Neil, Brian has been all along treated as a person of interest. I have a feeling that sooner than later, that will change, and I do believe that there is enough, perhaps maybe, from all indications, to charge Brian with the strangulation here of this young lady.
You know, I'm just doing the timeline with you, Ted, and I'm doing the math backwards. If her body was found around the 19th, and they said that body had been in the park for upwards of 3 to 4 weeks, so that would put roughly the time of her death at around August 19th to August 26th, which follows some of the prior videos we've seen in incidents in which she and Brian Laundrie had been apparently fighting. How do you piece all of that timeline together?
Well, what you have here, unfortunately, at this stage is more of a circumstantial evidence case. But there have been many individuals convicted on a circumstantial evidence. What you have to show also here is something that we as lawyers say, something called conscience of guilt. And that is the fact that Brian Laundrie returned home on September 1 without Gabby. And you got to believe, Neil, that if they lived in a house with Brian's mother and father, the first thing you say is, where is Gabby? And so it just befuddling that on September the 6th through the 8th, you're going to go camping with Brian without Gabby. All of these things are part of the puzzle. I would have to also believe that at this stage, the FBI has some physical evidence, and they're trying to put that together. I can tell you what defense attorneys are going to do in this case, Neil, and that is they're going to say, yeah, they were out there in that Grand Teton Park. They had a fight. Brian then took off and came back across country. He doesn't know what happened to Gabby. I guarantee you that's going to be the defense in this case.
So, Ted, the fact that they have not charged Laundrie with anything beyond stealing a debit card and apparently Gabby's credit card, debit card, why would they hold off on that?
Mainly because they were collecting, and they are still collecting, evidence. When you look at the manner of death here or the cause of death being strangulation, I think they knew that right away. And the reason being is right in this area of your body, you have something called a hyoid bone. When you are strangled, that bone is normally crushed. They would have found that out right away. But what they are now have been doing is trying to backtrack and to find out where Brian has been all of this time. As you know, Brian is now missing. We don't know where he is. He could be alive, he could be dead for all we know. But the FBI is clearly looking at him. He is a fugitive.
All right. Ted, thank you very much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.